Alright people, what's up? At it again. We're going to try to straighten out that last video I did, man. Whoa, there's a lot of gaps in it. So we're going to try to make some sense out of it. You know, you come up with these theories and it's like you're trying to get it out of your head into the world, and it can be challenging sometimes. You know, going over that four-letter word, vocabulary of mine can get difficult. So we're going to try to do it again. Some conflicts there. I was confusing. I was, wasn't driving home the points as strong, as intense, and accurate as I could. So we're going to give it another shot. All right, here we go. We got how the moon's gravity can reduce airplane flight times. If airlines schedule airplane flight times in sync with the moon's tidal forces, it would increase fuel efficiency and airspeed. So we're talking about this, a gravitational force on a planet that's capable of lifting up the oceans, that's traveling 666 miles an hour, if you can believe it again. We're not tapping into it. I mean, it's going around the planet and nobody's utilizing it. We'd be getting point A to point B freely. Okay, Earth is traveling 1,000 miles an hour this way. The moon is traveling slower at about 334 miles an hour. That subtract that, you get 666. So the tidal speed on the planet is actually going 666 miles an hour in the opposite direction. All right, and we ain't in it. We ain't tapping into it. That's what we're bringing forth right here. The YouTubers of America we're gonna beat the drums and get this straightened out. All right, here's the world, not America. It's the world now. Sorry about that. I get self-centered out here. All right, we got the globe, the Earth, gravitational field's pretty dense right here, about 1G. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about tapping into this energy that's just flowing about. This is the basically what's going on in the galaxy, but it's the same thing that's going on the planet Earth. Everything is spinning with the Earth. The gravitational field, the magnetic field, the Van Allen belts, the moon's actually going a little bit slower, but for good reason, because it's slowing us down so we don't have like 10-hour days. All right, so getting off topic, but basically everything is spinning. Okay, so here's what we want to tap into: the tidal bulge. This bad boy right here. Okay, this is an energy. This is a very strong energy force that's coming down on the planet and lifting the ocean. We're talking trillions of tons of weight, mass. We're talking some serious energy, and we ain't tapping into it. It's going 666 miles the opposite direction. Come on, people, help me out here. All right, so planet Earth 1,000 miles an hour, 334 here, and basically the tide is going this direction. It's going 666 miles an hour, go all the way around. Okay. So we get the gravitational field in this line here, and the moon actually stretches, it flexes the bulge of the planet, and the tidal bulge, right? The tidal bulge is what we're interested in, the fulcrum point. So if you flew your plane going this direction, and you took off right about when the tidal bulge is at the top dead center, right over the plane, and you just drove it down, you just ride it as it's going the opposite direction of the planet, and you pick up speed. Unbeknownst to the theoretical astrophysics community, the aeronautics industry, any other industry out there, they've been missing this thing, and they've been attributing to getting places a lot faster than they should be because of headwind. Okay, or atmospheric conditions, or the flight plan, the altitudes they were flying, this, that, they're completely missing the point there. That if a plane takes off utilizing the tidal bulge and the directional force of this tide and goes with the high tide say across the Atlantic from London to Boston. You save yourself an hour of time, maybe even 45 minutes, a half an hour, but you save a lot more fuel than the other thing, because there is an energy that's, we're not capitalizing on. So this dotted line is that energy line that I'm talking about. So if you take off in it, and you catch it, and you're cruising, you try to stay inside the bulge, and you're gonna have a lot more efficient plane ride, okay? And things will be a lot smoother. Well, I don't know about smoother, but you're still gonna have wind turbulence, this, that, and the other thing. But here's a plane doing the same. What I'm talking about, it's going, from east to west, and the irony is you should. The flat earthers grab this, and this is what this is their main argument. One of their main arguments that, we should be when we travel against the Earth. If the Earth was rotating, we'd be picking up ground speed at the same, but airspeed would be 500, and every hour in the air you'd be picking up another 500 miles an hour ground speed. What they fail to understand is that the whole gravitational field is spinning on the planet, with the planet. That's why we step outside, you don't get blasted with a 1,000-mile-an-hour wind force ripping your head off. Peppering your face with sand or whatever. So this is what's going on. The whole everything's turning. The magnetic field, the Van Allen belts, gravitational field, all the mass. So it's all one big giant synchronized event that's going on. Now, a few years ago, I introduced a force, the fourth law of gravity, and it was called centrifugal force, okay? And in that force, any mass that's spinning ejects subatomic particles, okay? So subatomic particles basically come out of the equatorial regions, the latitudes, and fly and go back into the pole. So anything from the southern latitude goes to the south pole. Anything ejected from the northern latitude goes into the north pole. Same with flywheels, right? Flywheels, same thing. You get a flywheel doing 2,000 or 20,000 RPMs. It's ejecting subatomic mass particles and creates a low density in the shaft or the axis, and those particles actually break and flow back into the axis. I call it singularity, and the way you manipulate gravity is you break singularity. You block the flow to singularity, and that is gravity manipulation. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about getting in sync with gravity and manipulating it down the road. That's a great gift. This guy's taking off. You see the shadow comes over the plane. He's in the bulge. They're going in the right direction. They're in harmony. It's going to be a faster flight, less fuel being used, and you'll be cruising at just going as efficiently as possible if you're catching this thing at the right thing. Now, what I just said was subatomic particles eject from spinning mass. Well, the engines on these jet airliners, unbeknownst to everybody on the planet, but they are somewhat of a primitive gravity harnessing machine. Somewhat they will catch that gravitational bulge because they're pushing out a big giant what would you call it, a parachute almost of subatomic particles spinning out of these engines radially, okay? So you got the axial flows, the air goes in, the exhaust goes out, but these blades are turning at 10,000 RPMs, okay? I used to work on these Airbus engines. I don't know if that's an Airbus, looks like NASA or somebody. It's NASA. So, GE engines. But anyways, long story short, these things have, they got some mass to them. They're 40, 50,000 horsepower engines, a million pounds of thrust. So there's some serious energy going on, but it's the rotational energy that actually puts out like a whole flux field of subatomic particles, okay? So you've got a subatomic particle, parachute, if you will, and if you catch the tidal bulge on the planet, that's being produced by the moon, you can actually lock yourself in. Now, there's going to be some slip because these aren't putting out enough to really lock yourself into that tidal bulge. But you're going to slip past it because the tidal bulge is doing 666 miles an hour, and the plane's only doing 500. So you're constantly dragging behind it. But it's a large tidal bulge. Granted, there's a focal point of energy as you go outside the focal point of the alignment of the moon. That gravitational field gets weaker and weaker and weaker. But if you can capture that, military jets would be, they could do, 2-3 times the speed, Mach speed, which is, I think it's 650 miles an hour. So here you go again. These numbers just keep coming up, right? So, I mean, they could catch the tidal forces and, actually, be cruising a lot more efficiently, okay? All right, just want to put that out there. I think I'm driving it home. I mean, the other video I did was really confusing. I was even confused. I think my head tipped to the side and I started drooling on myself. Anyways, gravitational field around the planet somewhat. It's just to give you a visual. Honeycombs, tetrahedrons, hexagons, 6 points. They all latch in, lock in. Everything's good. That's like a static gravity field. Now, when you got a moon on there, you got a live gravitational field. You get something pulling and stretching and flexing it, and this kind of gives you a visual, even though it's going in the wrong direction. What are we gonna do? Tip the screen upside down? Anyways, this is that yellow band flying around. That's the tidal. That's your tidal bulge. That's the energy that we ain't tapping into it. You and I and everybody on the planet is not tapping into this energy that is whipping around the planet at 660 miles an hour. So that's what I'm talking about. That in and of itself is it. This is what we want to do. We want to take off you fly your plane, you take off, synchronize with that, and just go as fast and as hard as you can with it. You're gonna save. You go against it, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna gain. All right. Okay. It's this is just for going from east to west towards the rotation of the planet. Because you're going when you're flying into the rotation of the planet, and just say you're not in the tidal bulge, or you're going against it, or you're out of sync with it. You're basically you're hitting the gravity. You're flying into gravity resistance. You are not going to utilize the rotational speed of the planet under you, and say you can do Mach 4, Mach 5. You can go as 5-6 times the speed of sound. You're still not going to go any faster land speed and airspeed. It's going to be matched. Now, at some point, you will be able to time slip and utilize, some technology down the road. I'm sure you'll be able to utilize the rotational speed, and then you'll be time slipping. But we're not at that point right now. All we're trying to do is just do a little bit more, conscious about this energy and synchronizing with the airplane air traffic. Now, you could also do it on the ocean, because the ocean, this energy is whipping across the ocean, lifting the ocean up, at the focal point, and cruising at 666 miles an hour. 600, So, if you had some kind of a device that would latch on to that gravitational movement, you could have like a hydroplane or something like that just skimming across the water at 600 miles an hour. Okay, I mean, it's like entirely possible, but maybe the friction would rip the skegs off. But maybe you could just cruise right across the top of the ocean without even touching it at that speed. So here we go. Just to give you another visual. Here's the planes rotating around. They go in the right direction. They go in the same direction as the tidal bulge. All right, and so on and so forth. There's a coronal mass ejection. Just give you a visual of everything's all these subatomic particles, radiation coming in, hitting the different planets: Earth, Mars, Venus. Just to give you, it's a nice gift. Kind of give you a little bit of what's going on out there. But I mean, these things are they're all tied together in one way or another. And again, here's the planet rotating. The moon, for all intent and purposes, is somewhat stationary. It is just moving like 334 miles an hour this direction. This is rotating 1,000 miles an hour. So you end up with the tidal waves actually going the opposite direction. Pretty neat. Again, Earth has a gravitational signature. Moon, the Mars. Everything's rotating. There's big giant gears that lock in on each other. This is kind of like a nice little GIF. Shows you the just the gravitational vortex. That's out there that we're missing out on. You got the Fibonacci cycle here. I mean, this thing just comes in, keeps coming in over and over and over again on the natural cycles and vortexes on the planet. And I'm sure this is something that getting further out into gravity manipulation. This will be part of the gravity manipulation, like the pyramids. The pyramids are all set up in the Orion or the dog leg construct or alignment because it actually precipitates the Fibonacci vortex when the planet rotates through it. The little pyramid goes through first, and then the other two fall through, and they end up creating a gravitational vortex. That's another topic altogether, but I don't think they're not set up to mimic the stars. Sorry, people. Great theory, though. Great theory. But hey, everybody's got to have their own theory. That's my thing is a Fibonacci vortex that sets up the gravitational field and those pyramids rotated. But anyways, this is the Coriolis effect. That was the biggest problem with Coriolis effect. It never really took into account the subatomic world. I mean, it does answer a few things on winds and currents and this, that, and the other thing, but when you start seeing water rotating in a bucket that's on the ground, going counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere if you're draining it, and then clockwise in the southern hemisphere if it's draining it, you go to these places, you get these neat little places where the equator goes right through this land mass. I have some guy there, I forget what town it was, but he's got his bucket, he's running his sink from 30 feet north of the equator, and he's doing the thing, and he's filling the bucket up, he's filling the sink up, pulls the plug after you see that the water's not moving at all, it's completely still, he throws some leaves in there, goes counterclockwise, does the same thing on the southern hemisphere, makes sure the water's not moving after he fills up the sink, pulls the plug, it goes clockwise. So I mean, we're talking about a very small, minute, amount of mass here, 4 or 5 gallons of water, and they rotate at different angles, so Fibonacci spirals or whatever. But the point I wanted to drive home is this is what's going on with the planet. You have subatomic particles, and you have a big thing like this, Earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. You are ejecting subatomic particles, and then they're flowing back into the poles because you have the high density flows on the latitudes, the radial tip of a flywheel or radial tips of the planet, and that creates a low gravitational field on the axis of the poles, and they flow back in the same directions that they came out. So everything from the northern hemisphere flows into the northern hemisphere. Everything that ejects from the southern hemisphere flows into the southern pole. The southern axis. And so anyway, Mr. Kitty's saying it's going left, it's going right, it's going left. Okay, enough of Mr. Kitty. You get dizzy looking at that guy. All right, a couple of books here. There is something about the moon. Talking about this stuff right here. A lot of this stuff is right in that book. A Pyramid Gravity Force, going out of print soon. Got second edition coming out. It'll probably even make more sense. Who knows? All right, like this stuff, share it, kick it around. Send me, put the comments out there. Get into it, man. This is the next technology. Don't miss out on it. All right. Peace out. The evidence is out there, man. The evidence is clear as day out here. Catch you later, man. Peace out and Happy New Year.